Hello and welcome to Fantasy Football Hub. Red arrows everywhere. Abdul, how are we feeling this week? I think you might be muted.
Can you hear me
There
now?
he is. I've got you.
You got me now? Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Not a good game week, John. Just like yourself, I got like 57 points. Had a great team on paper. 9 of my players at home, 3 City players. Obviously, Foden was benched again, surprisingly. Got 57 points, and then I fell from like 260k to 390k. So, yeah, I got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, and it was a really weird week or something because I felt like it was there were pretty respectable scores. But I've got your team on the screen now. We'll get on to mine afterwards. But like 57 points. When you look at Trippier there, Cancelo, Guehi doing a bit. Whatever about Ryan, Trent, and I get that a lot of guys didn't really return, but Salah, the captain, got a wee 14-pointer, Martinelli 8 points. I don't know, I didn't feel like I should have got as much of a red as I did. Like, what did you drop from?
I dropped from like 260k, so it was quite a big drop. I think the safety score was something like 60 odd.
What was it that hurt us? I don't feel like
Yeah.
anyone absolutely slammed, apart from, like, Arsenal did well, but thankfully Reece Nelson, who no one has.
I think for me I think it was Newcastle defence firstly, because I've got Trippier, but a lot of people have double. I mean, a lot have double Newcastle defence, but also triple Newcastle defence. There's a few out there with triple Newcastle defence as well. I think that hurt us. I was a bit surprised actually because the main kind of threats were Tony and Kane, who blanked, but and then my differentials, like the ones who are low on, like Mitrovic and Andreas, blanked as well. So I guess there was that. And then I think the main killers were the Arsenal boys. So Jesus got 9 points. Saka got 4 points, but not a big deal. And then the Arsenal defence is quite highly owned as well. So I think for us, well, for me anyway, those were the main killers.
Yeah.
Rank killers.
And then outside that, I suppose it was as people are saying in the comments there, and shout out to Akshay in the comments first, Ollie Hooper, Juice World, Jones Private, Scotty on Clash and Nuisance BS, Almiron and Wilson as well, while they aren't maybe as highly
Yeah.
owned. I mean, a few people have them.
Yeah. Almiron was about 36% owned around my rank, so he was quite highly owned. He was like one of the highest transferred in players. So yeah, it's a lot of like bandwagon jumping players which performed this week. Wilson wasn't too highly owned. Obviously the ones who had him like shot up the rankings.
So you got 57 points, I got 59. And with 59 points, and again, I think last week, if we're looking at these and predicted points tools, might have said about 61, 62 points, and everyone like, it's a good enough game week. But like 59 points, 200k drop, just when I thought things were starting to go a bit better. A couple of greens on the bounce, small greens, but like drop kicked in the stones right the way back down. Pope and Trippier like double up. Cancelo with 6 points, Guehi with 6 points, Zaha, Foden,
Yeah.
Andreas let me down, Mitrovic and Tony let me down, but Martinelli and Salah returned. Like, I kind of thought I'd be. It's funny here, I'm about to say, I thought I had a pretty average week, like a decent week, like not big red arrows, and I actually had the average points, 59. So I had the epitome of an average week, but I don't know, feel like I got absolutely pummeled for what was an average week. I was starting to get ideas of grandeur and thinking I was going to come back in, and maybe get into the international break or get into the World Cup break with like a sort of 500-600k rank, and now I'm like, what am I even doing with my life? Just like
I
absolutely
think
dejected.
I mean, you know what? I mean, I've had honestly like since my wild card in game week 9, I've been happy with my team almost every single week. I mean, again this week I had a fantastic team on paper, but just didn't work out. The guys like Mitrovic and Andreas both had good home game at Everton. Zaha with a great home game at Southampton. Salah, he got a goal, but he should have had again. Similar story most weeks. Should have had a lot more. He played well. He got a few chances. So yeah, a lot of missed opportunities. But I think if we just kind of keep playing the way we're playing, we'll do fine. I think it's just a bit of bad luck at the moment.
Well, we'll get on to what we're doing this week a little bit later. I've got a little bit to give away, and I'll give the rest away a bit later in the week when I make the final decisions, but I know something that I'm doing. Maybe it's already done. But we'll look at what you're going to do as well. But first, we have a few talking points. This video is called the Watchlist, but really today, in terms of a watchlist, what we're going to be looking at is midfielders and forwards predominantly that we'll be looking for, and a couple of defenders might be sprinkled in there. Because a lot of people, if we start with midfield, again, Salah, while he got the return, still a lot of money, tough fixture against Spurs. Okay, maybe Spurs could be conceding, to be fair, but I don't know. Maybe people are just... I feel like we've been getting sick of Salah for a long time, and we gave him last week. He got a return, thank God, but maybe it is time to get rid. If you're in a position that you can afford to get rid of him, you've probably struck quite lucky, because there's a lot of problems across people's teams. Those teams up top anyway. Sorry, in midfield, because we're starting with midfield. A big one is Saka. A lot of people have. And I'd say that even Foden, who everyone brought in 2 weeks ago, it's almost like Pep knew. Played something like 28 minutes and then like 18, something like that. Less than 30 minutes, 2 game weeks in a row. Yeah. It's just, what do we do? there's so much going wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, the Foden benching, like, especially 2 weeks in a row. He started the first 10 games, and as he says, when everybody bought him in, Pep decides to bench him for the next 2 games. Again, like I said this a few weeks ago, Pep usually kind of bench makes his team or picks his team on opponent rather than looking at. I don't think we can guess who's going to start the weekend by looking at the Champions League game midweek, etc. Like we can with most teams, and yeah, I think it's a tough one with Foden now, because I think if you've got him, they've got Fulham next at home and Brentford next at home. I don't think you can get rid of him. And on top of that, the next 2 game weeks, this is a bit of inside information, kind of, but the next 2 game weeks are the early kickoff for Man City. And then last week we got early team news before the deadline that Foden was benched. I actually tried to make the transfer. I don't know if you know this, but I tried to make the transfer out for Saka in the last 5 minutes, but the website crashed.
Oh, so that was a nightmare last week for a lot of people, wasn't it?
Yeah, but so hopefully we get another league, for the next 2 game weeks, because City do have the first kickoff, so there is that possibility as well. So obviously, we kind of need to, if you've got Foden or thinking of bringing Foden in, then you have to wait until a Saturday morning. But yeah, I don't think you can get rid of him in general for the next 2 games. I mean, surely he doesn't bench him for the next 2.
Well, the way you need to look at this is he's going to get minutes in both. And if one of those is a start, you're looking, which you'd like to think it should be. You'd like to think he should get a start.
Yeah.
If he gets a start and then maybe a wee 20 minutes off a bench with those 2 fixtures, you take that over almost anyone you can replace him with. That's let's say he starts against Fulham and he gets 20 minutes against Brentford. You would take that over any of the replacements, really. I mean, there might be 1 or 2 replacements, but what I'm saying is, it's likely that there's another midfielder you could get rid of for this, anyone else you need to get in. But if, let's say, so Foden, whatever, Saka, we'll wait and see what the crack is with injury news and all the rest. Who are we looking at? I know Rashford's on everyone's tongue this week after his nice header and sort of bit of form.
Yeah, so I think we need to prepare for Saka replacements in case he's out this week. I'm not too confident he'll make it this week, but he might. But if he doesn't, obviously, there's a few replacements there. The guy we just talked about, Foden, potentially. If you've got the money in the bank to just upgrade them, you only need like a 0.3 or 0.4 million. But Rashford, yeah, I mean, he's got 4 goals and 2 assists. He's put up great stats as well, John. He's got 23 shots in the box, which is 4th amongst midfielders, and an XG of 4.8 again, which is 3rd amongst midfielders. So, and they've got Aston Villa and Fulham next, and United have turned the corner. They're unbeaten in the last 8 games in all competitions. Ten Hag has clearly got them playing a lot better football than last season. They're kind of knocking on the door in the top 4 as well now. So I really like the Rashford. Only 6.7 million now. I think got a price rise. So yeah, great price and a great option. And I think he's one of the top options if Saka is out.
Are there any other options across the United team you'd consider?
I think I like Dallo in defence. I think my top 2 options would be Rashford and Dallo. I mean, he's 4.7 million now. He's had a few price rises, but he's been, obviously United been keeping clean sheets and he's been hoovering up the bonus points. He has been scoring and assisting, not in the league, but in the Champions League, Europa League. He's been getting attacking turns there, so he's got the attacking threat there. He's one of the he is the most attacking United defender, kind of by a long shot. So if you are going to go to United defence, then Dallow's by far the best option, I think.
What about other midfield replacements? Almiron's in the comments there. Actually, was
Yeah,
first in. You should take Almiron seriously now. Ollie's saying. You say that as if no one else has him on their
definitely.
team. So Almiron, 3 double-digit holes in a row.
Yeah,
Goal, and an assist. The clean sheet points there for the midfield. The 1 point and also a few bonus, like
yeah,
6 bonus over the last 3 as well. He's just playing absolutely outstanding. And I
yes.
actually love it. I hope he rips the piss out of Grealish, but I don't think he has it in him. I think he'll just suck it up and you know get on with it. But anyway, 3 double-digit holes in a row. I want him so bad. I should have got him ages ago. But now I just feel like I'm going to get him in, and as has happened all season, if I get him in now, he's going to hit a 2-pointer. I just know.
That's FPL for you. Probably. I mean, I think now the week everybody gets him in. Yeah, he probably will go on a big blank spree. But I mean, if you look, he's got 7 goals, John, right, and 1 assist. He's the second highest scoring midfielder in the game. And sometimes you get players who go through like little, lucky patches where they're putting up poor stats, but they're getting returns. But Almiron actually has been putting up some good returns. He's got 23 shots in the box, same as Rashford, which is fourth amongst midfielders, and he's got an XG of 4.26, which is fifth amongst midfielders. So his stats are there. And then this Newcastle team as well. Obviously, they're a different beast this season. They're the top 4 for goals and XG. They're one of the best attacking sides in the league. We know that from the first 10 games. They're right up there. Again, they're knocking on the door in the top 4. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, with the way Liverpool are playing, with the way kind of Spurs are quite inconsistent. That they do sneak that top 4 this season. So he's playing in a much better and improved team, and he's playing a lot better as well. So yeah, they've got who have they got next? They've got Southampton and Chelsea next, and Southampton away I think is a good fixture. Chelsea at home, obviously on paper is not a good fixture, but I do think Newcastle will score in both them games. So I do still think that Almiron is worth investment.
Who else in midfield are we looking at?
I think the next best, those are my top 4 options, like Rashford, Almiron, Foden, and then Trossard. Again, he's been playing great. He's got 7 goals and 2 assists. He's second amongst midfielders for XG at 5.66. He's also created 70 chances, and he's one of those FPL options, John, where he's got goal and assist threat. And Brighton, finally have figured out how to finish. So they've been scoring a lot lately as well. They went through that 3-game stretch where they didn't score any goals at all, including that game at home against Nottingham Forest. Still get nightmares over that when I bought a Trossard in. But yeah, they're scoring now. They've got Wolves and Aston Villa next. So I mean, if Saka was out, I've not got a Saka, but if Saka was out, I think Trossard would probably be top of my list. Followed by Rashford and Almiron. But yeah, I really really like Trossard for the next 2.
Yeah, and he's shown that he can get goals whenever he maybe shouldn't. Like some of his biggest holes this season. Well, he got 8 points against West Ham early in the season, then he got 12 against Leicester, but he got a 20-pointer. You might remember the hat-trick against Liverpool.
Yeah, no.
And then in his last 2, he's nabbed goals against City and Chelsea. Wolves and Villa in the next 2, you'd like to think he can keep doing some damage. And he's shown that he can even do it when he's played at left wing-back or whatever, he's still doing it. So,
Yeah,
I really like him.
yeah.
Outside that, I don't know, in terms of anyone who performed this week, there's a few other guys. I think they're obviously the main names. Reece Nelson, 19 points in 63 minutes. Do you think he gets another chance, or is it purely just luck because of Saka's? If Saka's out...
if Saka's out, he'll start for sure. But I still don't think I'd go there, especially with, he played a great haul, but it was Nottingham Forest at home, which is, probably the easiest fixture you could ask for. Not taking anything away from his performance or his haul. But they've got Chelsea away next. They've got Chelsea away next and Wolves away. So not the best fixtures really, John, for attacking returns. And there's, as I said, the midfielders that we just mentioned, I think, are a lot better and a lot more reliable.
If we move on to forwards now, because we've talked about midfielders really, there's a lot of problems there. We have Ivan Toney suspended. So Ivan Toney's out. And then we have Mitrovic, who just hasn't really been firing. I say that, but he got 3 goals in a row. Okay, I say he hasn't been firing, but that's more based off sentiment. I keep hearing everyone talking about how they want to get rid of Mitrovic. But this was the first game he's blanked in 4. He didn't score against Everton. But I know the Man City fixture is kind of on everyone's heads. They're thinking he's Man City and United now. So people are kind of thinking, I don't think it's necessarily because of like a lack of goals per se. It's probably more just get rid before City and United, because there's no point in holding them for like the long term.
I think. I mean, I think there is a bit of that. The City away fixture, then United at home, and I think because there's so many like attractive replacements there with like Wilson, for example. I think that's the main kind of player that people are looking at. I don't know. I'm really not sure in getting rid of Mitrovic, because I think that United at home fixture isn't too bad. I think for his price, he's a pretty good option. But obviously, with if you were to replace him, I think again Wilson would be my favourite option. But yeah, I just think you might want to maybe keep him and bench him this week, and then upgrade somewhere else in the midfield. Go for maybe a 3-5-2 this week, and then play him at at home to United. But obviously, I think that the kind of main talking point and main replacements we'll be looking at the Tony ones. Obviously because he's suspended, and then when he comes back in game week 16, he's got Man City away.
I'm sorry, I just gonna let you in a little bit of personal something there, Abdul. I had a bit of a heart attack, so we've got mice in the house, and I am not the best man when it comes to it, and I'm praying it's a mouse in the house, because it could be a rat, but I'm pretty hopeful it's just a mouse. But we heard something scuffling around the hot press, which is just outside my door, and I opened the door earlier and seen a wee tail scurry in the corner and shat my cacks. Oh, no. So went and got mouse traps and have put them down, so I'm on absolute edge, because I'm just afraid I'm going to be sat here streaming and I'm going to hear like a and I'm going to be like, oh no.
Well, if you hear something, at least you've got it.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Just I'm really bad at that. Judge me all you want, guys and gals, but anyway. I got really distracted because I thought I heard something. I'm praying that wasn't it. So, yes, Mitrovic, Tony an issue. Wilson's the main one coming in. Even Haaland we're waiting on news for, but I don't think at this stage. Personally, I think I'm just going to carry Haaland even if I need to until January.
Yeah, I think, if, for example, just say Pep comes out and says he's injured, he's going to be out for the next 2 games, basically, until after the World Cup. Then I think... you can. I think. I would get rid of him in that case. Definitely, I'd go for Kane, who's got Liverpool at home, and then they've got another home fixture. I can't remember who against, but they've got 2 home games in the next 2. And yeah, if he's, what I think will happen, John, I think the most realistic scenario is that it's going to be, Pep's going to say, again like last week, he's touch and go kind of thing. He's been progressing, blah blah blah, and we're not going to know really unless we get leaked pre-deadline. So I think we have to keep him. I think it's too risky to get rid of him on the basis that that he might be out. But if we do get news that he's out for the next, even if we get news he's out for Fulham, I still think there's an argument there that that you could go for Kane for the last 2 weeks. I don't think I would do it. I don't think I would do it, but I think there's an argument there.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just, again, I am not the expert. Everyone can see my rank. Like, I am not the expert, right? But something just feels off to me. For the sake, like, it's almost like, what would you pay? Like, essentially, if you get rid of Haaland, right, you're going to get 11. Like, if you've had him for as long as I have, I don't know. I've had him since game week 1, I think, right? Which most of us probably have. If you have Haaland, he's worth 12.2 now, and you're probably going to get 11.8 to sell him. At least that's what I would get. So you're going to want them back for January. You just are. In this unlimited transfer wildcard thing over the World Cup, you're going to want Haaland. So would you spend 0.4 of your new wildcard budget going into... Now, I keep saying January, I mean Boxing Day. Would you spend 0.4 of your future budget? Is it worth 0.4 of a budget to punt for a week or two? Do you know what I mean? I can't work it out in terms of game theory or whatever, like the optimal thing to do is. I'm finding it really hard to know. I feel wrong. I would feel wrong burning that money. But
Well, the thing is, firstly, I think if he's out, then he's definitely a drop in price. So it would be 0.3 on, or
good
if you're
point.
lucky, 0.2, right?
Good point.
But yeah, I do think. I mean, at the end of the day, we're playing for points, right? Not team value. So if you're able to get the points on board, I think if you're able to, it's an opportunity for us basically. It's an upside up opportunity, which I think that that we could take. But I would only do that if he's definitely out for Fulham, or even think about it. And if, for example, worst case scenario, he's out for the next two, then for me it's a no brainer. There's no way I'm keeping him in my team. 12.2 on the bench for the next 2 weeks. He'd be out there for Kane or Darwin Núñez, one of them. So yeah, I do think it's worth the 0.2 loss. If you're getting in a player like Kane who's got Liverpool at home next and Leeds at home.
Have a wee look there and see, are there any other forwards, or is the answer just Wilson?
Well, no, I mean, I do. I think for Tony replacements, if you've got 2 free transfers, or if you've got money in the bank, you can go for Darwin Núñez. They got Spurs and Southampton next. I think that Spurs game will be quite high scoring, and then they've got Southampton at home. Darwin has got 3 goals and only 5 starts, so I really like that. He seems to be getting the biggest chances at Liverpool. And then I think you can mention DCL as well, John. He started the last 3 games. I know he's had his injury problems, but he looks to be back now fitness wise. He played 90 minutes in his last game. He scored 1 goal in the last 3. He'll be on penalties. And Everton have got Leicester and Bournemouth at home, which fixture-wise you can't really get much better. So I really like DCL as a punt. He's only 0.7% owned as well at the moment.
Are there any other players that you'd like to mention before we go on to team reveals?
No, I think that's it. I think for Tony replacements, I think for me, Wilson top, and then possibly DCL if you fancy a punt, and then if you've got the money or the 2 free transfers, you can go for Darwin.
I have a bone to pick with the chat, Abdul. How many people do you think have liked the video? And there's 325 people here.
Yeah.
How many people do you think have liked the video?
I don't know, 25?
50 people.
Oh.
But that's not something to get excited about. They're doing us dirty here. We're sitting here with 2 big slapping red arrows, feeling terrible about ourselves. And they're crippling us even further. Drop a wee like, gang. Do us a favour. The likes apparently bring good luck and green arrows. So look, I'll reveal, I suppose, my team first. So this is my team going into Gameweek 15. This is on the My Team tool on Fantasy Football Hub. Now, I've already made a move. I got rid of Ivan Toney and I brought in Wilson. Now, the one potential issue with me doing that so soon, not necessarily doing that so soon, doing that at all, is just that I'm now triple Newcastle, Trippier, Pope and Wilson, so Almiron's out of the question. But I wanted to pop that early because I figure everyone's going to Wilson this week and a lot of people will be getting rid of Toney. So just thinking, take the risk. And it's the first early transfer I've done all season. But I'm kind of thinking at this stage, like, I'm happy to take that small risk if it gains me 0.1, 0.2, whatever it is, in terms of, again, as I talk about that wild card for the World Cup, essentially. Yeah. So just trying to grind out a wee bit of extra value now and take a couple of risks coming up to the deadline. I have got one more transfer, so I'm going to wait until a bit later in the week, see how the Champions League football goes, suss a few things out, and go from there. If I show what my team would look like if I bring in a few players, I suppose I probably have to bench Mitrovic. It'd be Pope, Guehi, Cancelo, Trippier, Castagna against Everton, which I don't hate. Salah up against Spurs, Martinelli against Chelsea, Foden, Zaha, Wilson and Haaland. That's assuming Haaland plays. Haaland would be captain if he plays, and I suppose maybe even Wilson vice-captain against Southampton alike. Mm-hmm. But I've another transfer to make. I'm going to wait until a bit later in the week to make that. Zaha's doing my head in, but I just don't think it's like the end of the world keeping him. West Ham and then Forest. Foden, I feel I have to keep, but we'll see how many minutes he gets in the Champions League. It'll be really annoying if he gets 60 minutes plus. Outside that, there's I'm going to keep Martinelli again because the value I've built up looking ahead to Boxing Day. Salah's there and Mitrovic is there, but I've already got Wilson and I don't really know who else I want up top, so I don't really know what I'm doing outside that, Abdul, but I've already popped it with Toney to Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of information to wait on, so I don't blame you for not thinking. As I said, if Foden gets 80 plus minutes, it's a worry, isn't it? And then obviously we need to wait on the Haaland situation as well. I mean, that's why I've got 2 free transfers as well, John, and I think I'll be waiting until Saturday morning, really, just waiting on that Foden news and the Haaland news. But yeah, it's a tough one this week. It's going to be another stressful Saturday morning for sure.
It is, and I'm thinking like here, I've got I don't know, 0.7 million in the bank or something. I could be getting rid of Martinelli. I could keep him. I think I kind of like the idea of keeping him just because of how long it's been and how much value there is in him. But at the same time, I could just say goodbye and bring in an old Rashford or a Trossard or something.
I mean, what about Zaha? Zaha to Rashford or Trossard?
Yeah, that's not out of the question at all either. Like, how's Zaha done?
I think I'd
He's just
get.
been blanking for fun. Yeah, he's not been doing great.
I
Has he?
think I'd get rid of Zaha before Martinelli for sure.
Yeah. So Zaha out, Zaha out, and bring in probably Trossard.
Yeah, Trossard or Rashford. I'd say that's
With neither of them playing midweek, is it worth even waiting? I suppose you wait just in case someone else gets injured in Europe.
Yeah, I would wait just in case. I mean, for example, if again, excuse me, what if Haaland's out?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much that can happen. And
I'm just sick of this game. Oh man!
And City and Liverpool still need to play their Champions League games as well, so there could be injuries there as well. So definitely hold on to that second transfer until Saturday morning.
We'll see. 55 predicted points. I'm not accepting it. I want more. 76% game rating is almost as poor as I've seen it, to be honest. So yeah, not looking entirely wonderful. This is a wee bit funny with the layout there, just with Haaland. But look, we'll jump over to your team. And see how you're set. So as it stands, I don't know who would be your starting 11 before changes.
Yeah, so at the moment I've got Dunk, Andreas, and Guehi on the bench. So I've currently got Mitrovic starting, but that's because I might take him out for Wilson. So what I'm thinking at the moment, John, is like I'm going to assume just at the moment that Foden and Haaland start, right? So if they do start, then I'll probably be looking at something like Zaha to Trossard and Mitrovic to Wilson. Again, I'm pretty confident about. I mean, I'm pretty confident about removing Zaha, but not too much about Mitrovic. I do really like him. I mean, he just gets so many chances, every game. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if he scored against City, to be perfectly honest. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. Zaha and Mitrovic out, but again. If we get some early team news on Saturday morning again, and Foden's benched, then he could go. So I do need to look at a lot of scenarios here. But in an ideal world, Haaland and Foden start, and I can do Zaha and Mitrovic out to possibly Rashford or Trossard, and then Wilson for Mitrovic. So yeah, that's kind of where my head's at the moment.
Zaha and Mitrovic to Trossard and Wilson would leave you with just shy of 66 predicted points and 91% rating. Would you take that going into the game week if you were offered it?
Yeah, I mean, like the way my game weeks have been going, I take a small green, honestly. Like, it's frustrating because I've had a good team over these past few weeks, but I'm still kind of slipping in the rankings. So just need the rub of the green now.
I'm starting to, I'm in that danger zone, which I'm sure a lot of people watching are, where like I've had a couple. I feel like I've kind of played the game relatively conservatively. The one thing that crucified me is captaincies the whole way through the season. I've had 3, 4, 5 of them not go my way at all, and I've been hurt. But like in terms of my team, it really hasn't strayed too much from the template. Yet here I am with a rank of over 1 million, which is mad because surely by sticking with the template, you would expect to be hovering around the top 500, 600k. I don't know, by playing it safe. You're not going to reach the upper echelons by playing it safe. Anyway, my point is, now I'm kind of on tilt and being like, oh, let's go. I need to chase it. Come on, we'll finish with a good rank. 2 more weeks. Let's caution to the wind and go after it. Let's just pick. But I know it's not the right move.
Yeah. No, I definitely think you just need to keep playing the way you're playing it. I mean, now is definitely not the time to start chasing and taking risks and punts. Just keep playing. mean, I say optimally, but what I mean by that is just keep going for the best captain picks. Keep going for. We say the obvious picks, but what I mean by obvious picks is the best picks. I mean, when we get to around about game week 30 onwards, and you're struggling in rank, I think that's when we started looking at taking those kind of upside risks and punts and differential captains.
Well, look, is there anything else we need to discuss today? Anyone else or anything else in your mind?
No, I think we've gone through Saka and Tony replacements and doing just kind of general team review thoughts. So yeah, all good.
Cool. We'll wrap it up. Well, look, if anyone wants 30% off a Fantasy Football Hub membership, head over to the link in the description, and even just head over to that link, click on it. You can sign up for free as well and have a play about the site and stick your team into the My Team tool and plan ahead for the next couple of weeks, and then even start to plan for after the World Cup. And we will see you later. Thanks for being here. Subscribe to the channel, like it on the way out, and we'll see you tomorrow when we're back and we've more streams all week.